hot on the brakes. Koenigsegg, yep, he's got the advantage, but unironically the average ducks to the inside. What a move! But Koenigsegg accelerating back on the outside. And there goes Salty Bonkos to the inside, bashing door panels, sparks flying, smoke spraying. The Butler is going to go wide. Salty Bonkos on the inside. They're a little bit off the pace, but now accelerating all 500 horsepower. Good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to Virtual Auto Sports here live on Twitch TV. I'm Dustin Moore, and here is a look at the standings. The Forza Spec Racing Series, week number 4 here tonight after all the action in week number 3. A lot of great action, and it has Chicago staying at the top of the leaderboard, just 7 points out in front of Huracan. That was actually a change of position between Huracan and Corvid, who were in third and second, respectively, before Huracan made the jump back up to second. This isn't the first time that Huracan has been in that spot. Those two have been dancing back and forth, he and Corvid have, for the last couple of weeks. But now, like I said, Huracan 7 points back behind LMP Chicago. The differential, the delta between those two previously was 10 points. DOR Corvid in third with 182 points. Cratrium, Audrex, Yorkie Man, 168, 155, and 126 respectively. Then it's Slipstream there at 124. Fear the Fun drops down one spot to 8th position with 120 points. Looking over at the middle column, Borna's Ghost is actually the hard charger on the leaderboard here between weeks 2 and 3, jumping up 3 spots there to number 9 out in front of LSCM Chaos Fox, who has 102 points. AMS Storm jumps up 2 spots to 11th with 98 points. DJ Hocus there in 12th with 97. Then it's Mesosphere, who we haven't seen since week number 1, 86 points. Slow Motion Fire with 84. Slow Motion Fire returning after taking the week off last week. And that's okay here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. You can do that. That'll be your drop week. Joe Beardy back behind him with Trigger Story, who's made his way from the right-hand column all the way to the middle column. IPR Wolf there in 17th position. Funtang, Modern Weapon, Weiss Lancelot, Fawn, and Viral Mist, Grim, Presto is Besto are your top 24. What's up there, DWM Frog, Carry Out, Nemesis, Front Step Studios, Slow Motion Fire. Meza had a lot going on as of late, so racing, yeah, absolutely. And obviously, well, that's one, the beauty of a league like this is that you don't have to get too invested in it if you need to say, hey, time out, got to step out and go take care of some real-world things. That is understood, and as a matter of fact, that's what you should be doing. So good on him for taking a step away, and I'm sure, without the shadow of a doubt, we'll see Mesosphere either in the Forza Spec Racing League or in any one of the other community-based leagues sooner rather than later. A lot of great storylines here, the one of those being the top 5 that we see here on the leaderboard as it stands right now, with Chicago, Huracan, and Corvid being those 3 drivers that consistently, race after race, you'll find those 3 driving in or around each other, and driving in each other because, man, it seems like they are swapping back driving lines from one lap to the next, trying to find the quickest way around each other. Then Cratrim and Audrex, although they find themselves a little bit further back, still keeping a pretty good pace. Going to be difficult to make their way any higher than 4th or 5th with their current points situation and the amount of points that we have left. And then, of course, even if the top 3 have a bad showing here in week number 4 or even the finale a week from tonight, well, then that may be their drop week. So you just never really know how this thing is going to shape out until you get to the very end of the season. Granted, you can start to kind of formulate the different scenarios that are at play, and I'll have all that set up for you guys as we go into our finale next week. But for right now, it really is still a toss-up because things can change dramatically here in week number 4, which will throw this leaderboard into a tizzy, and we'll have to scrap it and get ourselves a whole new one coming out of week number 4, which we're going to do no matter what. LMP Chicago is here. Chaos Fox is here. Some of the drivers of the Forza Spec Racing Series. And as I take a look at the lobby right now, we sit 9 minutes out from the beginning of qualifying out at East Route Suzuka. And there are 15 drivers currently in the lobby. If you want to participate, and I really encourage you to do so, if you want to participate in this league and you've got Forza Motorsport 7 either on the Xbox One or the PC, then head on over there to reddit.com/r/FM4, the link that Nightbot has just dropped in there for you, and that'll get you the details on how the league is structured or the series is structured, the vehicle, and what you have to do to put it together. And I would say, even if you're not racing or haven't raced all throughout this season, if you want to participate in the finale, then get the vehicle ready to go and get out there for the finale, because if we have a full grid for the finale, that'll be exciting. We had a full grid to start season number 32, and inevitably people drop off as they start to understand or learn where their position is here in the series. But again, don't take it too seriously. Keep at it, stay with it, and improve your skill over time, and that's the best way to approach this league. And before you know it, even if you're not at the top of the standings week after week or season after season, you find yourself making friends with some of the guys and gals that are part of FM4, and see who you're most competitive with and try to beat them race after race. We've already got not even a couple. We've got 3. I even saw 4, I think, at one point. Drivers who are lined up there in the driver's spotlight ready for a little bit of interview action, and it's been in abundance here in Season 32. I can't get people to not want to come in here. It seems like every time we conclude a race, at least one driver is in there, and then more follow. LMP Chicago sits at the top of the leaderboard now, joining us in the driver's spotlight. Here we are, the final week where we have 2 races in one evening. How are things looking for you, Suzuka, then Mount Panorama Bathurst?
No, Suzuka is not going to be a really strong track because it requires some momentum, and this car kind of doesn't have that. But Bathurst, on the other hand, is a really good track for me with the momentum I can carry down the mountain and through the dipper.
Okay, so that throws me for a loop a little bit, because I was thinking, Suzuka, especially here on the E circuit, if I am thinking of the right one, you've got all the S turns, or am I not thinking of the right one?
Yeah, you're thinking about the one with all the S turns.
Yeah, I was going to say, so I'm sitting here thinking, okay, you guys are talking about a grippy car, the R31. You get out of turn number 1, which is kind of like a hairpin, although it is 2 corners there, and then you start heading toward those S's. But you said that the vehicle's not necessarily at its best here?
No, there's a lot of understeer with the elevation change into the first corner, and the same with Bathurst, but I think I got the understeer out at Bathurst. It's just this track is going to be kind of a pain to do 32 laps of.
32 laps, yeah, that's right. That's a reminder, because we are on that shorter east circuit, that it is a lot of laps. And we've been out here to this one before. I think the last time we was the Fiat 124, or if I'm remembering the model of the car correctly. It is a lot of laps, so you got to kind of keep your concentration on it. Does it get a little monotonous when you're on a small track like this and you're making the same turns time and time again in such a short time span?
Yeah, because it's a small track, there's kind of one line only one line you can take through the S's, because it's Suzuka. And if you see that the guy behind you starting the gain on you, there's not much room to try to change your lines and all that to get the pace that he's getting behind you.
And we're talking with LMP Chicago here as we get ready for qualifying at the top of the hour out at the East Circuit of Suzuka. Chicago there, as you see on the leaderboard, 7 points in front of Udakan. Udakan, breaking your streak. You had a 3-race winning streak there toward coming out of week number 1 and then through week 2. And then Udakan showed up and said, yeah, I'll take both of those races in week number 3. So how do you turn the table, turn the tide here to ensure that you keep that 7-point lead, if not a greater lead in terms of points?
Just to hope that he's off pace at both tracks, and he did say himself that he is struggling with Suzuka, so I might be able to take that into my own hands and see if I can get an advantage off of it.
You always wonder if what they're telling you is actually the truth. Oh, I'm struggling at Suzuka. This might be the race where you're able to put me in the ground and not have to worry about me in the finale. We'll see. Chicago, best of luck to you in qualifying here in the GTSR, and we'll see you at the finish line, I have no doubt.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, and we've lost a couple of folks who were in the driver's spotlight. They were already thinking that I was taking too long talking there with Chicago, but let's go to IPR Wolf now. IPR Wolf, as we look at you on the leaderboard here, you've dropped back to 17th position. You were there in the middle column for a little bit. But all in all, are you where you expected to be, where you would have maybe you wish you were a little bit higher up? What are your thoughts here entering week number 4?
Yeah, give me a moment. Yeah, I wish I was a little bit higher up, but yeah, had some bad issues I couldn't really control for a little bit there. Yeah, in the past, but just hoping to do what I can. Don't really have any clear goal for this round.
No clear goal for this round. We have the 2 races tonight, as I mentioned, going into Chicago's interview there, and then we've got the finale, the single race finale. So this is your last chance to really have 2 different races to pick up a good chunk of points before it's doubled points in that final week. Is there anything, I know you say you don't have a goal, but is there any strategy or anything that you're thinking of to say, hey, let me see how I finish out here in season 32, or how high I can finish in season 32, and then maybe establish a true goal of some sort, maybe a milestone for season 33?
Honestly, I'm just kind of going off the cuff with this one at this point. It's like I said before, previous rounds haven't been so great, so I'm just trying to pick up what I can.
I can appreciate that. So if you're just kind of going through your paces and not really trying to establish any sort of strategy that you got to fix yourself to and focus on, where do you find fun, though, in participating? So if anybody else is watching and they go, you know what, it doesn't really seem all that exciting to have myself fixated on goals and trying to accomplish this, that, or the other, how do you keep a series like this fun for yourself, though?
If I can, I do kind of look forward to having the occasional battle here and there, so on and so forth. But mostly it's being with the other drivers and, from time to time, talk about stuff, so on and so forth. It's more...
Go ahead.
As I say.
Okay. Well, and I can appreciate that too. Not one, having a strategy, and then 2, saying, hey, really the experience for me, the experience that I get out of this whole thing is just hanging out with these folks and enjoying the racing and kind of the banter back and forth. That being said, there's got to be at least one goal that I can get out of you. We've seen over the last couple of races, you find your way maybe into pit lane, getting fixed up on some damage. Is there a minimum number of pit stops that you would like to set for yourself here in this first race of the evening?
I know this car can last a whole race without pitting. So if I end up getting dinged up out there, get some damage, then hopefully that only happens once. So...
Very good. Well, we won't be counting. I'm not going to sit here and say, Wolf, well, we're going to count them out and see how many you actually got. But I think it's great. I think it's one thing to say, hey, you know what? This is like one of my objectives is that I only want to go into pit lane maybe once at most. So IPR Wolf, I know before we worry about having to incur any damage, we've got some qualifying coming up. So best of luck to you there.
Thank you.
All right. I love that. See, and Wolf's like a great example of somebody like myself who, if I were to join the league, and granted I'm not because I'm I'm even better on this side than I am with a controller. If I was on the controller, I would ruin this league altogether, and they would disband and have to find themselves a new a new series to establish. But with that being said, I love the fact that Wolf is just like, I'm out here to have a good time, not going to take it too serious, and just partake in the action. And even if he finds himself a little bit further back, no worries. Does his own thing, and if he has a battle from a time or two, or has a battle a time or two, then all the better. So it's a great approach, and it doesn't matter how you approach it. The only way that you can be a detriment to this league is if you don't mind the general rules of the road when it comes to racing. And really what that boils down to is just be a clean driver, a sportsman behind the wheel, being aware of who's around you and making room for them if you've got those lead lap cars approaching you. And by making room, that doesn't necessarily mean dart off the track, but knowing where the driving line is, adjust yours accordingly, and make sure that the racing is able to continue on without incident. So here we go, getting ready for 3 laps of qualifying out at Suzuka, the E circuit. And yes, as I and Chicago were talking about, the S's portion of Suzuka, so we're not on the west side, which has the kind of the figure 8, if you will. You go under the bridge and over the bridge, but instead we've got this part here, which looks like a bobby pin, really. I mean, that's what it boils down to, right? A bobby pin. I think we all kind of can relate to that that shape. You got the little bendy parts, and then it comes back around, and you've got the straight edge, and that'll be the start-finish line. And so here we go with Slow Motion Fire. He's going to be the first one off the line, and again, Slow Motion Fire unable to participate back there in week number 3, but has returned here in week number 4. So chalk week 3 up as the drop week for Slow, and see if he can accumulate himself some more points here in week number 4 to move him up the leaderboard. Currently sitting in, that was 14th position, back behind DJ Hocus and in front of, behind Mesosphere and in front of Joe Beardy, who's making a move up through the leaderboard positions. And past the signage goes Slow Motion Fire, so we'll go ahead and throw into the bottom left-hand corner there the statistics, which will give us the information on who has the best lap right now. It's Hoot Wheels. She's got a 1 minute 8:09. 1 minute 8:09. That's on a standing start, so we'll see how things change as drivers start their flying lap. And Cratrim already now moving up with a sub 1 minute time at a 59.526. And if y'all would be so kind to please help me out with the audio again. I don't know what it is, but today it's done something that it had done once before but didn't do last week, where as soon as I plug my headphones in, it's like my system says, okay, we're going to account for the fact that you have headphones on, and it lowers everything, and then that has everything on my OBS meter like pegged way down, and so I have to adjust so that you all can actually hear anything. So if it doesn't sound right, please do let me know so I can fix it. Mesosphere saying good luck to everybody racing. So good to see Mesosphere joining us here in the pit lane as everybody gets around. Let's go up to Futang, who currently has our top time. We're actually, Futang does not. Futang in third right now. It's Corbett who's still, or has now acquired the top time at a 56.066. And so it looks like around this 56-second mark might be where our quick laps are. Now, granted, a lot of room to make mistakes at Suzuka, and so there might be drivers who have had faster times the first or second lap through, but because they dirtied it, they're going to be back at the back end of the grid and therefore not on a top time, not showing a top time here in our best lap section of the map. Here we go, Futang now across the line showing 6th position. So Corvid is going to grab the quickest lap there with that 56.066. Back behind him it's Udakan, Cratrium, Slipstream, Wolf, Futang there in 6th, Hoot Wheels in 7th, Fear the Fun currently in 8th, and this might be the quickest qualifying that we'll ever have here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. This is a a quick run, obviously, with the laps just being 55, 56. It's now Chicago with a 55.894. So we did get somebody who's down below the 56-second mark. And there goes our black screen to let us know that everybody has finished, and we'll have to discern who has the top times here, since Forza Motorsport 7 doesn't do it for us, apart from showing us the numbers. Slow Motion Fire with a 57.315. Hoot Wheels at a 56.665. Trigger Story with that 58.059. Funtang with the 56.621. Born as Ghost with the 57. Corvid 56.066. And again, that is going to be opposite of pole for right now, because Chicago's got the top time at a 55.894. Then Craytrim with a 56.261. A 56.212 for Slipstream, who's going to find himself there on row number 2, it appears. And then looking a little bit further down, Modern Weapon with a dirty lap, a 58.934. IPR Wolf with the 56.521. A 59.246 for Grim. Audrex, 56.528. DJ Hocus, 57. Joe Beardy with a 56.774. Viral Mist, 58.138. Udakan with the 56.046, just missing the sub 56 mark. LSEM Chaos Fox at a 57.630, 56.736 there for Fear the Fun. So Motion Fire will go ahead and coordinate, get everything set up there in the lobby, that everybody sits on the grid correctly. And if any of our drivers now following qualifying would like to have a chit-chat, go on over to that Queue for Interview section of the Forza Spec Racing Series, the FM4 Discord, and I'll be happy to pull you in as a gentle reminder, a friendly reminder. Coming up on March 14th, that's in about 2.5 weeks' time, it is the Tora Sebring 12 hours of racing out there at the beautiful Sebring circuit in Florida. And yours truly will be on the mic for the call. Not for the first hour, not for the second hour, not for stint 3 or 4 or 5, but all the way through all 6 stints of the Sebring 12-hour event. They're on Tora Live. You'll catch me on Tora Live, not here on Virtual Autosport, unlike the 24 hours of Daytona that we had about a month and a half ago. So over on Tora Live. So if you don't yet have that page followed, then make sure you do that. And then join me on March 14th. And that is starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. 10 a.m. Eastern. So bright and early for much of North America. But for those of you across the pond, hopefully that will be a great way to kind of wrap things up for you on a Saturday. And it looks like maybe we've got a few, or at least one new name joining in on the action in the lobby. I thought I saw somebody. Maybe I didn't. Born as Ghost is in there. Modern Weapon, Trigger Story. I might be seeing Ghost. Well, nope. Gamer Nostalgia is showing up in there, and I don't know if Gamer Nostalgia is going to be racing, but we'll find out here pretty soon. Mesosphere says, easy mode after you did that 24. I know, and I was really surprised about how well I felt coming out of the 24-hour race. That's not to say that I'll ever do a 24-hour race again. I actually have told myself I will not do a 24-hour race. But doing half of that, a 12-hour, that's manageable. That's manageable. Carry out saying, dirtied your lap. Yes, indeed. And so the fastest dirty lap, I know I like this little mind bender here, but the fastest dirty lap will always be slower than the slowest clean lap. Yeah, that's how we like to detail it here on Virtual Autosport. So setting your quick time during qualifying is important, and that means, even if it means paying extra attention to make sure that you keep at least 2 tires on the driving surface at all times, well, then you at least set a clean lap, and then maybe the next one you go for the super fast lap, with hopes that maybe you improve your time and go up higher in the grid. But you get that dirty lap, and then boom, automatically you're at the back of the pack. And with 20 drivers currently on the grid and out here at Suzuka East Circuit, that would be a lot of vehicles to try to climb up through. Be a lot of work for you to do. I don't see anybody in the driver's spotlight, so no big deal. Mesosphere says, DM me if you fancy a co-comment. Yeah, I'm gonna be reaching out to a few people here in the next couple of weeks. And so, Mesosphere, I'll take you up on that offer. I'll connect with you guys and gals and see who will like to join me for maybe grab a whole stent, or maybe it's just part of a stent. Whatever works for you. And we'll talk our way through the 12 hours of Sebring for all the viewers who will be there for that. And inevitably, there will be. I mean, we just got done with the 24 hours of Daytona, again, not more than 2 months ago, and that was an historic race for the Online Racing Association. They had more registrants and participants in that than they have had in years past, which is quite remarkable considering that Forza Motorsport 7 is now more than 2 years old. It's approaching 4 years old? 4 years old? I think 3 years old, because they would have released another Forza Motorsport title or something like that last year, but did not, because they have said that they are holding off, taking a extra year of development, and for all of us who can read between the lines, setting themselves up for success with the release of the new Xbox console, which we just got some more details care of Phil Spencer, who laid out and said, hey, here's what we'll tell you about the performance of the new Xbox Series X. 12 teraflops. I don't even know what that means. That's like Back to the Future speak to me. So I have no clue what that means, except for it must be good. It must be good. What do you guys think? Let me know there in the pit lane. We've got quite a grouping of you all watching us here, Virtual Autosports on Twitch TV. So don't be bashful. Don't be shy. Say hello, and if you'd like to elaborate on your thoughts on the next Xbox, the Xbox Series X console, and the performance specifications that we just saw yesterday, drop those into the pit lane. If you've got a prediction, on when or what we can expect from the next Forza title, then by all means, share your crystal ball with us. We would love to get your thoughts and hear what you think Turn 10 Studios has in store for us here in 2020. And there you go. There's a look at the lobby with the grid ordering and everything. We're going to go ahead and put our camera here on Udacon's car. Chicago's got the pole position, and as is the case here in this season of the Forza Spec Racing Series, the pole position car gets to dictate when the race actually starts. So right now, as we are sitting in a black screen, all the drivers are seeing the countdown to the race, but once that countdown hits 0, they're all going to stay put on the grid until that lead car, that pole position car, decides to depart. Once there's even the slightest showing that LMP Chicago is moving that GTSR Skyline, that 87 model R31, then everybody else can go. And here we go. Kick the tires, light the fires. It is week number 4, our first race of the evening here at East Route Suzuka. It's Udacon back behind LMP Chicago. Behind him, it's Corvid. And back behind Corbett, it's going to be Slipstream, Cratrium, IPR Wolf, Audrex, Hoot Wheels, Foontang, and Joe Beardy for the top 10. Now through the S's, the S curves here at Suzuka. And they're going to stay single file, which is probably a wise move right now. See how everybody's running at this point. Take note of where they might be making some mistakes. And then you've got 31 and a half laps to sort it out in terms of gaining position. And here comes Corvin right there on the back of Udacon. He's going to look, well, nope, stay on the same line there as they hop over that little hump. Because normally you would continue left there if you're running the entire Suzuka circuit, but because we are just on the east side of the track, You got to cut through the midfield, and there is a bit of a hump there that throws the car up into the air. You lose a little bit of traction and come down, and make sure you want to have that car lined up and ready for the right-hander in toward the front straightaway and the start-finish line. And here they go for lap number 2. Chicago still running out there in front. Let's go. Let's see. We've got Corvid, Slipstream, Cratrium, Wolf. Let's go back to Fear the Fun, running in 8th right now, back behind Foontang. Foontang in 7th, and Foontang starts a second train of cars here as the P1 through P7 drivers have started to depart the larger contingent back behind them. Back up to 3rd with Corvid. As we'll go ahead and hop on board here with Corvid's GTSR underneath the Suzuka signage there and into the first corner, which I think that's what it's officially called, is just first corner. Very literal with the naming conventions here at Suzuka, and then it's the S corners, the S curves. So nothing to really throw you for a loop. You got Spoon, which is all the way on the opposite end of the track, but we're not racing on that one here, so we won't try to decipher why. But here we go. Another run. You see the crazy arm inflatable there out into the grandstand section. A beautiful track that has been in existence in the Forza Motorsport franchise for quite some time, although there was at least 1 or 2 titles where the Forza franchise did without Suzuka. As we see Corvid returning to the start-finish line. Let's go to Slipstream, who's now back in 5th position, started 4th there on row number 2, and now has dropped back a spot from Cratrium as they go into turn number 1 once again. Solar Gambler, what's going on? Track Sabon says, loving the comment. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Come back on March 14th. Well, not come back here. Go over to the Tour Live channel on March 14th. We're doing the 12 hours of Sebring. And tell me that when I'm in hour 11, and then make me feel really good all the way up to that 12th and final hour. That'll be a lot of fun. And here we go. Slipstream now. As they cut over, you see there the little bit of air that you get underneath the tires. It's just that little slight momentary bit of airborneness, if that's a word, that can throw off the angle of attack on these cars. But with qualifying well completed and a little bit of test driving or practice out here at this track, I think a lot of these drivers are all sorted out in that section. We haven't seen any errors through that portion at all. Let's look a little bit further back. Let's give our cars back here in 13th position a little bit of love. We saw Hoot Wheels. She was getting a cheering section going on there in the pit lane here at Virtual Auto Sports on Twitch TV, and Hoot Wheels finding herself back there behind Trigger Story, and behind Hoot Wheels is going to be Audrex. Audrex looking to the inside. Not going to happen there for the AMD Risen car, and now once again it's going to be Hoot Wheels though. Here side by side with Trigger Story, makes the pass. Now Audrex, it's going to be a double pass. Trigger Story must not have had the right angle there coming through the back half of the S's and gives up 2 spots. And now Trigger Story's got to be careful because Chaos Fox is back there in 14th. DJ Hocus in 15th position. Moving. I like it. I'm gonna have to go with that. That's gonna have to be a new thing here. We'll keep our camera back here in 13th position with Trigger Story. And actually it looks like well, I don't know if Trigger Story fell back yet again. No, did not. As they start to space things out a little bit, let's move back up to the front here. Let's check the gap between LMP Chicago, not only the race leader here in our first one of the evening, but also the leaderboard. Well, no, he's not the leaderboard. He is at the top of the leaderboard in the top spot there. 7 points out in front of Udakan. So Udakan trying to make it happen here. And you got to, with 3 races remaining, Got to be very planful, and by very planful, I don't mean you could sit here and map out what you're going to do for the next 3 races now. No, you needed to do that in ring week number 4 and make the action happen, because it's going to take quite a bit to dethrone Chicago at this point. A 7-point gap, which is not insurmountable, but with that drop week rule in effect, Chicago can essentially have a poor showing here week 4, or even a bad run in week 5, and have that week just completely not considered and still be at the top of the leaderboard. Here comes Udokan chasing him down, staying right back behind Chicago's car, because as we've heard from some of our drivers in the driver's spotlight, the slipstream effect apparently works exceedingly well, or actually just the right amount here in Forza Motorsport 7. So you want to make use of that where you can, and here on the front straightaway of Suzuka, there's plenty of room to make advantage or take advantage of that effect. Let's go back to 4th position here with Craytrim back behind Corvid, and then you see there in 5th, that's going to be Slipstream's car, who again was in row 2 for the start of this race, has dropped back 1 position. Diode Drake, thank you for the follow. LMP Phantom with the follow. Great to have y'all here, and of course everybody who's been tuned into the broadcast from the very beginning or all throughout the season. Love having you. Solar Gambler saying there was a bit of muscling. It looked a bit aggressive, and you kind of have to be out here at Suzuka. And as we were talking with Chicago, this is one of those tracks where, yes, it can get very monotonous because you're running these same portions of the track over and over again. 32 laps out here. I mean, most of the tracks that we're at here throughout the season last not more than maybe 15, 20 at the most, really, in terms of laps. But here you are, 32 laps, and just as you get done with the S-curve section, you hit this straightaway, you're through it pretty dang quickly in this 276 horsepower R31, and then you're back at it through the S's. And then, of course, the car behind you is looking for a way to get around. It's also difficult. There's not a lot of room to pass, especially through the S's section, when you've got your opponent blocking the main line or closing the door on you through the apex. And so at some point, it's kind of one of those elbows out moments. It's like the mosh pit, if you will, where you just say, hey, you know what, I'm jumping in, and I'll apologize later. But for right now, we got business to do. Keep forgetting that this isn't real life, so you get nervous about contact, and that's the beauty of virtual racing. It really is. And of course, coming off of the Daytona 500 race last week, where we said, we were talking about the craziness and obviously the safety concerns that ensued out there in that real world race. The beauty of the virtual world is that all of that is at the wayside. Actually, it's not even at the wayside. It's completely off the map altogether. It's uncharted territory for us in the virtual world, where player safety, racer safety is no concern. And so we could see these drivers really pushing it to the limits, and that includes when they start approaching each other's territory, each other's space. And so, yes, you do. To take a line out of the Virtual Autosports intro, you start to see that smoke spray and the sparks are flying and all that, for sure. Smoke flying, spark spraying, whichever way I worded it. That was fun. I watched that intro back every single time, and it's neat to see some of our old races there. Before we know it, it's going to become a historical video for us here on the channel. I'll have to get a new and more relevant intro video. Oh, and there goes Kracham getting 2 wheels up onto the air, or into the air, coming off the curbing there into the entry of S's. And let's see here. slithering through, carving out each corner. Still no room, although he's going to put that nose there on the right rear quarter panel of Corbett's car, and now down the straightaway they come underneath the Suzuka bridge once again and across the line. Third and fourth, Corvette, Cratrim, Slipstream in fifth. Let's go back up to second position where Udakan has closed that gap on Chicago. Lap number 13. Chicago has just been so on point all throughout the season. The only exception being week number 3 last week, where Udakan came in here and swiped two races, coming away with the victory. Now Chicago still finished very, very well in P2 for both races, if I'm not mistaken, and that's what's kept Chicago at the top of the leaderboard. But if Udakan can replicate that here in week number 4, well, one of these is going to have to be Chicago's drop week, but then that would start to pull some of those points off Chicago's championship total and work in favor of Udakan. So a good pace going right here. Hasn't lost sight of Chicago, which was the case out at the Dubai Mountain Circuit, and then I believe out at the Grand Prix track of Indy. So Udakan's in a good spot right now. Granted, there's a lot of racing to go, and now the other difficult aspect here of this track being as short as it is, you're not just going to start to approach the back markers. No, not at all. You're going to find yourself lapping 7th, 8th, 9th position. Those are drivers who are going fast, and they have a race. They have a race to run. So they're not going to give up territory on the track easy. They're going to say, hey, I'll give you the inside line. I'll go ahead and take the outside line. But they're not going to just pull back and allow you to accelerate and return to the driving line that you wish to be on. Oh, and there goes Chicago, giving a little nudge to, who is that? That's going to be Grimm there. Grimm either not aware of the fact that Chicago and Udakan were approaching so quickly, or was aware and thinking that Chicago was going to take the outside line. Wasn't the case. A little friendly nudge there. It was all racing, nothing egregious. All right. It looks like Chicago there with about a 2-car gap. Let's return here to Slipstream in 5th position, trying to get himself back into the top 4 here. It's where he qualified. That number 49 there on the hood, or on the roof. The roof of the 87 Skyline GTSR. B600 class is what we are racing in here, not just in this event tonight, but all throughout season number 32 of the Forza Spec Racing Series. B600, 276 horsepower, 289 foot-pounds of torque, 2,685 pounds of curb weight. These vehicles, they've got race brakes, race springs and dampers, race front and rear sway bars. They got the race chassis reinforcement and roll cage, race weight reduction. It's a sports transmission, which means they can adjust the final drive, but all the incremental drives ahead of that, they cannot. The race differential, the sport tire compounds, which are wrapped around the multi-piece 1552 forged 3-piece tarmacs. And those are 16-inch rims, 275/40 up front, 315/35 in the back. Then they've got the sport, or excuse me, the sport front bumper and a wide body kit. The wide body kit installed. We're watching Slipstream here. Not going to be able to make any moves, at least not right now. And then, of course, depending on what happens in front of him here with Grimm, the back marker, Corvid, Cratrim, and there goes Grimm. Wisely is going to go ahead and take the wide outside line there and then bring it back in onto the tarmac. And across the line they'll go for the start of lap number 18. Let's go back to 7th position with Futang. Futang behind IPR Wolf. We talked to IPR Wolf here before the race got started. And there goes DOR Hocus, who's going to decelerate a great deal, allowing these 3 cars to get on by. That's going to be Fear the Fun there in 8th position, who is trying to catch up and make some moves in this race and in the next race because, as mentioned at the beginning of the show, Fear the Fun dropping back to 8th position overall on the leaderboard from 7th. Would probably like to reclaim that spot, if not a few more. LMP Chicago, still our race leader. AMS Udakan in 2nd. Corvette in 3rd. Kratrum in 4th. Slipstream in 5th position. IPR Wolf and Futang 6th and 7th. Fear the Fun in 8th. Hoot Wheels, she's running in 9th position with Born as Ghost in 10th. Audrex in 11th. 12th is Joe Beardy. Chaos Fox in 13th. Slow Motion Fire is 14th. Trigger Story in 15th. Modern Weapon, Viral Mist, Grim, DJ Hocus make up 16th through 19th. And those are the 19 of, I believe, 20 drivers who we had on the grid, although I think that 20th driver was somebody who thought that they were going to race, and then they realized quickly they were not going to be participating, so they fell out of the lobby. So 19 of 19 who started, pretty good. We've got our finale coming up a week from tonight. Same bat time, same bat channel, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on Virtual Autosport. If you are interested in participating in the Forza Spec Racing Series, go to reddit.com/r/fm4. Read up on the series and then participate in the finale. I'm most certain that Slow Motion Fire would be happy to have you there in the final race of the series. Even though you won't be in the running for the championship, you'll still have a chance to get a little bit of familiarity with how the series is run. And there goes Modern Weapon, getting his car a little bit squirrely and into the side of Udakan. Udakan able to hold on to it. Ooh, that was a scary moment right there. Solar Gambler saying rip good night. Oh, hopefully we didn't lose Solar Gambler, or maybe Solar was talking to Saban there. 1:30 a.m. in the morning. Down the straightaway they come, and over to the Virtual Autosport instant replay we go. As you can see, Chicago was there on the back bumper of Modern Weapon, giving him a hard time. Modern Weapon got off the track into the curbing, then off into the grass, ran out of curbing, into the grass, and then into the side of Udakan's passenger door panel. But again, Udakan able to save it and keep right there on the heels of Chicago for now. Nemesis saying that looked like a minor brown trouser moment right there for Udakan. Yeah, yes, indeed. I mean, what else can you do? You're just trying to keep pace with the leader, because you know how instrumental how key this race is to come away with a win. And so you're trying to keep pace so that maybe in the next 11 laps or so that you can make a move, but then just one little mistake, not only by you, but any one of the other drivers on the track can just completely take that away from you. Great recovery, though, says Solar Gambler. It was. It really was. And here they go, carving through and back toward the start-finish line, beginning of lap number 23. Let's go to Futang, who is behind IPR Wolf and in front of Fear the Fun, as they are cutting through the S's here on lap 22. Futang not in his predictable magenta attire. I'm not sure if maybe he didn't grab the paint job, or if he actually didn't do one up this season, because come to think of it, I don't remember seeing that R31 of his in the NVIDIA duds. And there goes Fear the Fun. Fear the Fun with a beautiful move around Futang. Now Futang's going to challenge to get it back here through the S's, and not going to do it there as Fear the Fun keeps the door closed. Riding onto the apex, he'll do the same here through the left-hander, and going to make it happen again through the right. And there we go with that look at Fear the Fun around Futang going into turn number 1. A little bit of sparks there. Futang still fighting for his position back. Gets onto the right rear quarter panel there of Fear the Fun. Fear the Fun, a little bit of tire smoke. Able to save it. Nemesis there in the pit lane saying, I might have to make this R31 tomorrow and use it as a B-class lobby car, or at least see what kind of times I can do at Suzuka. It seems pretty stable and decent build. It's from all indications from our drivers is that it is a phenomenal driving car. Now, Chicago telling us that the understeer here at Suzuka is a little less than favorable or less than ideal. But, again, to your point there, Nemesis, is that the car looks plenty tidy and manageable. As now they come up on, this is going to be, again, because there are just so many laps on such a short circuit. They're lapping a couple of these drivers a few times in this race. They've got Trigger Story up there in 15th position that they're quickly approaching. And here comes Udakan. For a second there was maybe looking at the outside line before Chicago brought it back up there against the white line. And now here they go, lining it up for turn number 1, lap number 26. Dragon King 18681 with the follow. Thank you, sir or ma'am. Although you're a Dragon King, so I'm going to guess the former. Udakan. Can he do it? You see the green number boards there on both Chicago and Udakan, representing or acknowledging the fact that they have run here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. Regardless of your skill level, if you run with them for the first time, you'll have that orange number board. That doesn't put you in a different division. It just simply means that for all the other drivers out on the track, hey, just be wary of this driver the first time that they're running with us. But we have not seen any problems with newcomers creating troubles out on the track. We just have not seen that, at least in the 8 or 9 seasons that I've been broadcasting here. Slow Motion Fire does a phenomenal job of setting the expectations. And here comes Udakan to the inside through turn number 1. And there are some sparks. Here comes Chicago. He's going to have the advantage through this next run, although there are a couple of S's here. So they'll switch back over to the right-hand side. Udakan now up by a nose. Now Chicago springs forward, and Udakan with the switchback. Gonna do it maybe again? Not gonna happen there. Udakan, who had that lead momentarily, drops back to P2. Here they come up over the lip. A little hop, skip, and a jump, and back toward the start-finish line. Lap number 28. Ooh, that was a nice little exchange. Now here they come, and Chicago gets a couple of wheels off into the grass. It's gonna send his car into a bit of a slide, allow Udakan to accelerate. We've got one driver that's going to be Hocus off into the grass, and now side by side down the stretch they come into turn number 1. Udakan to the inside. He's going to run Chicago a little bit high. Chicago has no choice to drop back to second position, and now here they come up to the S's, exchanging position, and for the first time, Udakan is running out for more than just one corner in front. Nice move, says Mesosphere. Nice move indeed. And I'm not sure what happened there to Chicago. Now here comes Chicago to the inside of the midpoint of the S's. And we've got another car who's gone ahead and dispatched themselves off into the kitty litter. Going to go ahead and make some sandcastles and watch the show from the sideline. Udakan able to hold on to the position as they come out of that right-hander toward the start-finish line for the beginning of lap number 29. And as much as we love to get our camera on some of the other folks here in this race, with this race coming to a head here in the next 5 laps, we're going to at least stay here a bit longer. Now here comes Chicago looking to the inside. Udakan, though, not letting him through. Solar Gambler is saying this is doggone exciting. Udakan. And that GTSR, and he left the door open there for Chicago. Chicago can't take advantage of it, though. Chicago was on the low line through the first portion of that right-hander, and then Udakan dropping his car back into the apex, sending Chicago a little bit toward the midpoint of the corner and keeping him back on the rear bumper. And so that's how they'll come once again toward the start-finish line. Beginning of lap 30 of 32, 3 laps to go. Mesosphere saying Chicago will be angry about that mistake, and that's where I was going, is that I don't know if he had a bad exit coming out of that final right-hander toward the straightaway or what, but I did notice it before the camera kind of clipped it a bit, that Chicago got off into the grass, and now Chicago is into a slide through the first portion of the S's, allowing Udakan to obtain now what seems to be a 2 or 3 car lead. Chicago closing that gap quickly, though. Well, maybe not so quickly. And pardon me for the redundant replay there. It's a great feature when we use it as intended and not have you stuck there in the picture-in-picture view. Might want to leave the replay. Yeah, just leave it there for... It was a great move, for sure. Not one worth watching over and over again. And here we are, lap number 31. Next time by the flag stand will be the white flag here, as we are in race number 7 here in season number 32, the Forza Spec Racing Series in an R31. They get around DJ Hocus once again, and here they come. Udakan, Chicago, 1 and 2. What's going to happen here on the final lap? I'm standing up out of my chair. I can't wait to see. And they've got some lap traffic. They've got Grim. And we'll see what Grim and Chaos Fox end up doing there. As, without a doubt, they're seeing the lead lap traffic coming up behind them as they approach turn number 1. Grim goes off the track and cuts out in front of Chicago, and oh no, that's going to do it for Chicago. Chicago's going to have to settle for second as Grim comes back off the curbing and onto the racing surface right out in front of Chicago, and you saw it there with Chicago getting into the back bumper. That's going to allow Udakan to somewhat walk back toward the start-finish line. You can't make a mistake, though, and you got Chaos Fox out in front of you, so be very careful here. The final right-hand corner, and it's going to be Udakan, who is now going to go 3 races in a row here in Season 32. It was Chicago had done that earlier on in the season, and now we've got 2 drivers who have done it. I don't know that that's ever happened here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. Chicago in second. It's going to be Corvette who's going to come across the line in third. Craytrim in fourth. Let's go back to 6th with Food Tang. And Slipstream will go in 5th. And so now Food Tang, Hoot Wheels, IPR Wolf, Fear the Fun, Born as Ghost. Let's go to Audrex in 11th position as they come around the right-hander, and they might actually have a couple of laps, but I think the organizers are going to say, hey folks, we're wrapping it up after this lap has concluded, no matter what lap you are running on. We'll see if that is in fact the case. My oh my, what a race. What a way to kick things off here this evening. And folks, a little track named Bathurst is coming up. So if you think things were exciting out here at Suzuka, where you've got kind of at least wide open spaces when compared to Mount Panorama, you only can imagine what things are going to look like when we get out there with the confined down-sloping section there. The S's, the skyline area, going into the Dipper and Forrest's Elbow. It's going to be an exceptional race. And yes, indeed, they have gone ahead and wrap things up here in this race, despite the fact that we've got a couple of drivers who are a couple of laps off of the final lap. So they won't allow them to race back toward the start-finish line. And instead, they'll just take count for where everybody is at. And I'll do the same here quickly while we do a little bit of commercial break. And folks, hang out with me. Bear with me on the commercials. It'll allow some of the folks who join us as we are in racing action a little bit later on to avoid those pre-roll ads. I promise you, you're not going to miss anything. And at the very, very least, sticking through the ads, it supports the channel just that little bit extra. And so I do appreciate that. Whew. Race number 7. Of the season 32 is in the books, folks. We'll pick it back up as we finish up things here in the penultimate week of the season before our week 5 finale 1 week from tonight. But we've got Bathurst out in front of us. Don't miss it. We'll be right back. Not getting any ads right now? Well, that's pretty cool of you. Yeah, the Twitch, depending on where they are in the regions for buying ad space, you may or may not be getting any ads right now. And for those of you that are not, thanks for hanging out with us here on a Tuesday evening, or perhaps it's an early Wednesday for you. Across the pond, just wrap things up out here at Suzuka, and in about a minute, we'll turn over to the driver's spotlight and have a word with some of our contestants, our participants here in race number 7, our first race of the evening before we head out to Mount Panorama for another race in this season, the 8th race out ahead of the finale, which takes place a week from tonight. And we'll go ahead and take a look at that schedule for you. Suzuka East is where we just completed 32 laps. Then it's 13 there at Mount Panorama before the 55-lapper at Sonoma Raceway Short. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Virtual Auto Sports here live on Twitch TV with the 32nd running of the Forza Spec Racing Series. 32 seasons. No, not 32 years. Not 32 years of racing. 32 seasons. But that dates back to about the Forza Motorsport 4 era. And so kudos to all the folks and of course Slow Motion Fire who runs the Forza Spec Racing Series for making it happen throughout the years, making it happen for 32 seasons. All right, so there you go. There's the schedule. We just finished Suzuka East, heading out to Mount Panorama Bathurst for 13 laps. That's what we have on tap next. We'll have those 3 laps of qualifying, which obviously won't go as quickly as they did here at Suzuka. And then we'll have the 13-lap race, followed by our finale a week from tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on Virtual Autosports. As always, season-wide coverage, start to finish, from race 1 to race 9, week 1 to week 5, all the way through. We tally up the points and see who the champion is. You win the championship, you win the bragging rights, and then a chance to pick the car for the subsequent season. All right, we've got a couple of drivers who have already joined us over here in the driver's spotlight. The first one I'm going to bring in is Hoot Wheels. I think you finished 7th overall. Pretty satisfied with that race?
Absolutely satisfied. Like, Suzuka is easily my best track in the entire game, especially Suzuka East. It's one of my favorite tracks of all time. And I didn't practice all that much. I basically just kind of threw a set together based off of the baseline that I have, and I guess it just worked. I don't know what happened to... I can't remember what happened off of the first lap. I think I got turned or something, but I managed to crawl my way back up. So 7th is really good for me.
Yeah, you'll take it for sure. And I see, looks like maybe Udakan there in the pit lane was saying, I've been playing Euro Truck Simulator 2 all week. No practice for him either. So tell me about that. I mean, you don't practice and you come into this race. Not necessarily, maybe, I don't know, maybe because you've done a little bit of practice here just before in the sense of qualifying, you start to feel like, okay, I'm in a groove, I know what I'm doing, and you said that this track tends to work in your favor, but, I mean, that's probably a pleasant surprise where you're thinking, oh, I didn't practice for this, so this could go completely awry, and then it goes the opposite direction where it's like, man, that was a great run. Now let's get ready to go to Bathurst.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming into Suzuka, I was thinking it's a good. I'm good at this track. I can salvage together make minor adjustments to the tune and then just see what sticks. And apparently it just stuck really well. And it is a really big shock to me, I guess. Finished better in this race than I have in any other race in the FM4 Spec Racing series, which isn't saying much because I've only been in 2 other races, but besides the point. And then heading into Bathurst, I'm pretty comfortable there as well, especially through the mountain. That's my favorite section of any racetrack, so I'm really excited to see how that goes too.
Yeah, talking with Hoot Wheels here in the driver's spotlight, having just wrapped up the race there at Suzuka East, getting ready for Mount Panorama Bathurst. So a whole different configuration, if you will, with regards to the track layout, because at Suzuka, you had a lot of curvy bits where you had to try to navigate around traffic and make moves that way. But then now you come out here to Mount Panorama and you've got walls on opposite sides of you, at least for a good chunk of the track as you get through the Mount Panorama part of this circuit. And so a little bit of different approach maybe. Are you not as ambitious through the corners, or are you just going to gun it and run it and hope for the best?
I think it all depends on your driving style. For me, it seems as though I definitely have to change my mindset when I go into Mount Panorama, because it through the mountain it requires a little bit of cautiousness and kind of an almost intuition of where the apexes are, because a lot of these apexes they're completely blind. So it does require a little bit of a mind shift in order to try and get into the groove at Mount Panorama, but it's totally possible to be fast there anyways. And just real quick, I want to give a shout out to Zen and Pep. Y'all are in chat. I see you. And also everybody at the Fun Posters Parliament.
That's right. Yeah, you threw the shout outs there last time, and I love it. I like when we can say hello to the folks in the pit lane, and you get that cheering section going, and they're in there, they're saying, come on, Hoot Wheels, you got this. And so it's always great to see that engagement all throughout the race. Where do you want to be here at the end of the Bathurst qualifying? Not necessarily the race, but where do you want to qualify here for this next one?
Qualifying, ideally you want to be on pole, but I got to think realistically here.
Yeah.
I would really like to be at least in the top half. But if I get 5th or 6th, I'll be really pleased with myself.
There you go. All right.
So
well, best of luck to you in qualifying then.
Thank you very much.
All right. So there's Hoot Wheels. Let's go ahead now and Oh my gosh, Wolf, who I believe finished 8th position, back behind Hoot Wheels. Wolf, how did that race go from you? We saw obviously dealing with lead lap traffic cutting through, quite chaotic out there. What did it look like from the behind the wheel for you?
For the most part, it was pretty clear, at least at the beginning. But as I said, lap traffic started to come in. Luckily, I was able to not get in too much of a tussle with those.
Mm-hmm.
But the big thing was the battle behind me, because Fear and Foon were going at it with each other hard.
Yeah. When that happens, do you kind of knowing your like when you understand what your ability is, your capability is, and you see a battle between drivers who are quite skilled as those two, do you kind of just hang out and wait for maybe a mistake to happen? Do you decide, hey, maybe I allow that battle to continue to play out, it slows them down, and then I'll make a move? What's your approach when you start to see that kind of happening out in front of you?
Well, if the battle was happening in front of me, I would have just tried to wait it out, see if they would they were making a mistake, so on and so forth. But as it was, the battle was behind me, so I had to try and keep my distance at least somewhat same-ish to them, so that they didn't get me tangled up in their battle as well.
Yeah, true. I misread where they were in relation to you, but all in all, a great finish, I would say. And I was talking to you before the race began, saying that you fell back a little bit on the leaderboard. I think you're going to advance nicely. Not looking for any goals per se, but man, it looks like you're in good shape, at least entering the finale to be top 16. All, of course, barring what happens out here at Bathurst. What are your thoughts on the track?
Well, my biggest concern is the hill. That's going to be a pain, needless to say, if somebody has an incident, either tapping the inside wall or what have you, because there are a couple corners where the camber is strong enough that it could catch somebody off guard with how quickly the car grips and so on and so forth. But I'm just hoping to stay out of it, and it's going to be interesting, especially considering how these cars are in the practice session leading up to this. These cars can take this course way quicker. Yeah, I say way quicker. It feels like they could take the courses way quicker than most Hopper Lobby cars, because of just the sheer amount of grip that they have.
Yeah, and when you're going downhill past with the concrete barriers on either side of you, it definitely gives you that sensation of speed for sure. So IPR Wolf, congratulations on that finish, the 8th place finish there at Suzuka, and best of luck to you here in the qualifying of Bathurst.
Thank you.
All right, let's quickly next go to DJ Hocus. DJ Hocus, now sporting the DOR name next to your name. If let me see as I look through the lobby. Yeah, DOR Hocus. Tell us a little bit about that transition.
I don't know. I was just asking if there was anybody looking for new members, and sure enough, they were.
That's awesome. And for anybody, I know folks are saying, man, the multiplayer lobbies, those are always so difficult to get along with, because you got a variety of drivers, a lot of them, maybe some of them with ill intentions, but then you threw out there, hey guys, I'm looking for a team to hang out with and maybe learn a little bit from. So just
definitely,
what's that? What are you expecting or hoping to gain here maybe in the next couple of weeks, next couple of months with DOR?
Experience. I want to get better. That's basically it. I just want to get better.
Want to get better, quite simply put. And with that being said, coming out of Suzuka, heading into Bathurst, the only thing you can do here is get better. Unfortunately, finishing at the back of the pack, you're going to be able to turn things around here at Bathurst.
My thumbstick on my controller, I think, is broken. It would not turn right. That's why I was 3 laps down, because I didn't.
Well,
It messed up when we were at practice, and then we got into the race and it started messing up. It did it 4 times where if I go hard right, it would not turn. The car would just go straight, and I didn't want to quit the race, so that's why I was kind of putting around. And those 10 points were more than 3, so I'll take the 10 points.
well, you're in luck here too, Hocus, because it's the land down under. So they just flipped those standings coming out of the last race, and boom, all of a sudden you're at the top of the leaderboard.
Yes. Well, now I'm on the little clear blue Mad Cat special from Walmart, the mini controller. That's my backup. I'm on that one right now, so we'll see how this goes.
Having to adjust for a malfunction there with the old controller, the old reliable Xbox controller.
It
DJ
fell off my desk when I was at work, and then I think my cat broke it. So.
Gotcha. Well, DJ Hocus, yes, we do hope things turn around for you here in this second race of the evening, and best of luck to you.
Thank you, bud.
All righty, there we go. And I know we had, I think Grim was maybe in there, or we had some other driver who was in the driver's spotlight. I am forgetting their name now. Unfortunately, we're having to pull away as getting ready for qualifying out here at Mount Panorama. Yeah. This track showed up in the Forza Motorsport franchise back in Forza Motorsport 5. So the debut of Forza Motorsport on the new Xbox One platform. And it's a favorite. It's a fun track, and it is a highly technical track. And I'm trying to recall who it was, but on a couple of occasions, we've had a driver jump into the driver's spotlight and say, yeah, this is one of those tracks that you head out to when you're setting up maybe one of your baseline tunes for a car, because you've got all kinds of different complex areas, and then you've got the long straightaways, you've got the wide sweeping corners, a lot of reasons. Whoa, and they're going to have to rerun this one. Yeah, they'll have to restart this one. Well, actually, take it back. This is qualifying, so there is no false start there, as I was getting ahead of myself. We haven't yet decided where everybody is at on the grid and who's going to be on the pole position, where if you are on pole position, you decide when the race starts. But for qualifying, everybody goes. Well, they go whenever they want, as a matter of fact. Now, actually, there's about a 2 or 3 second interval between each driver here in qualifying that allows them to kind of naturally be separated. Now, as some of the drivers are more skilled than others, then you'll start to see them approaching one another, and as they do that, the car out in front, well, actually both cars, they go into a ghosted mode. So there's never any contact between cars here during the qualifying session. Another benefit of the virtual world of racing, where we can knock out qualifying simultaneously for all 20 vehicles out on the track. Solar Gambler there in the pit lane saying go Hoot. Nemesis rooting on Mesa. Oh, did Mesosphere sneak into the lobby? Did I miss that? Slow motion fire with just the here we go, because like in my mind, although I think it's reality, I think it actually is slow motion fire saying this, is that Slow's like, all right, Dustin, we got it. You got a good chunk of interviews. Let's mosey on to the next race. we were running in extra hours or extra time last week, so we're gonna try to keep everybody on the schedule here for 2 hours of racing. Again, everything starting 8 p.m. Eastern time, or for folks like myself, 7 p.m. Central time. We go up until about 9 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern. But trying to stick to that schedule because we know everybody's got things to do. Obviously, sleep probably being one of them. So we want to be respectful of that. Hoot Wheels coming across the line with a 2:26.520. That's a standing start. Now, Mount Panorama, much like a lot of tracks here in Forza Motorsport, I mean, this is not an unusual track, but what you do have to be mindful of, especially so on the downhill section of this circuit, is that you scrape the wall, it invalidates your lap time, and there you go. You've got a dirty lap. So you have to be, again, very mindful of the fact that let me try to first set a clean lap, and then maybe the next couple of laps I can blaze through with a faster time, push the car to its limits, and if I make a mistake, well, at least I have a clean lap to fall back on. Or some might be just going all out from the get-go and saying, hey, if I get a dirty lap, you know what, I'll just make my way up through the field. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a couple of drivers into the driver's spotlight following qualifying, and we can work that out. See what their approach is. Here comes Udakan now up the hill into the cutting. He's got Slipstream behind him. Again, doesn't matter for the purposes of qualifying here. Chicago with the top time at a 2:23.872. Solar Gambler saying clean first lap, push the second and the third. That would be my approach. Granted, I'm not a competitive racer, so I would be erring on the side of caution every time, just to ensure that I get a good clean lap. Whereas the uber competitive folks who are wanting either row 1, 2, heck, shooting for the pole spot, they might just be hammered down through this section. And it's tricky, although I'm quite successful through the downhill section, coming out of Skyline or going into Skyline all the way down to the Dipper. But in qualifying, you have that extra, it's just kind of it's a psychological thing where you're telling yourself, I have to be quick, and you're looking for every little bit of room that you can take through those corners to make it as straight of shot as possible downhill, so that you keep your momentum going, you keep that speed going, and you edge out every 10th, 100th, 1000th of a second to make yourself higher up on the grid. And I don't know, perhaps it's that psyche to me that makes me mess up, because as I'm feeling good and I'm like, all right, cool, let's throw down a good time now, that's where it goes all wrong. And now it's going to be Slipstream across the line here. Cratrim with a 2:21.380. Cratrim currently with the pole position. Let's go to Cratrim's car. Nemesis telling us that Meza did make it into the lobby. So lovely to see Meza out on the track. We haven't seen Meza out there since week number 1, where he was able to rack up a good chunk of points. 86 to be exact. 86 in 1 week is no small feat. I mean, we take a look at the standings, and you've got drivers who have run all 4 weeks who have who it's a fight to get 86 points. But again, you come out here and you do you. You don't let the highly skilled drivers, you don't allow that to weigh you down any. You run your own race, and kind of like what Hocus was telling us is that he joined the DOR team wanting to improve. And even though the last race wasn't necessarily indicative of his ability, going to try to make things better here in the second race of the evening, and then maybe have a great run there in the finale next week, and then perhaps in season 33 be a whole new driver. Not likely. It's the improvements are incremental. It's not a night and day thing, but without a doubt, if Hocus keeps at it, we'll see the improvements here on the broadcast. We've seen it with a number of drivers, not only here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, but in some of the events that I've hosted, Mileage Masters Championship, 30-50, some of the endurance races that I've put on. We've watched drivers get better with time. And here comes DOR Corvid now, cutting through and out of the chase. Back up toward the start-finish line for the final time. Cratrim still sitting in the top spot with that 2:28.44. Will anybody be able to beat that? Doesn't appear so, and I'm going to be very curious when we go to the post-race results to see how many triangles with exclamation marks we have. That's the sign of the dirty laps. If you see that exclamation mark, that means that that driver through all 3 of these laps was unable to obtain a clean lap. Because even your slowest clean lap would beat out your triangle if you're able to post a quicker time. If all 3 of your laps were dirty, well, then you will still have that triangle next to your name. So let's go take a look at those post-race results. If I can work my way through the menu here. There we go. Fear the Fun with a 2:22. And actually, here we are, first glance at the leaderboard, and we only see one dirty lap time there by Hoot Wheels. 2:24.291, but Fear the Fun with a 2:22.667, 2:20.863 for Chicago, 2:20.844 there with Cray Trim, which again is going to be the pole time, the pole sitting time. A 2:20.844 by I just said that. Let's go to Joe Beardy with a 2:24.386, 2:20.985 by Udakan. A 2:26, albeit clean, there for Born as Ghost. DOR Corvid with that 2:22.072, 2:29.303, a 24.010 for Slipstream. Meza joining us here for race number 8 of season 32 with a 2:22.534. IPR Wolf with a 2:24.275. Audrex with a 23.231. Modern Weapon, a dirtied 2:33.717. Trigger Story to 2:29.644. Grim 2:35. Chaos Fox 2:26. 2:24 for DJ Hocus. There you go. That's a way to turn it around after the debacle there of East Route Suzuka. Funtang at a 2:27, and Slow Motion Fire, the organizer, unfortunately picking up a 2:24.511. Dirty lap. Let's go to Grim there in the pit lane. Grim, what's shaking? You got out of Suzuka, and now we get ready for Bathurst.
Yep. I feel like I did better at Suzuka than I have all season, honestly. It doesn't seem like it, but I was keeping up with the pack a little bit and dodging some of that oncoming traffic that was pretty bad.
Yeah, those things are going to happen, and it's really it's not something that you point your finger at anybody and say, oh, that was your fault. It's one of those things that the driver just already kind of is like, oh, oops, what can I do? I was there, I was where I was, and unfortunately, whether it could have been a different outcome or a different positioning of the car, it's just the way that racing goes. That being said, I mean, it was craziness there with East Route Suzuka being such a short track. We've got a little bit more room to run here at Bathurst. So what's your ideal scenario? You find yourself in open air, you just kind of run the track, or are you going to try to keep pace with somebody?
I find I do better when I'm in open air, just because I can concentrate a bit more on my lines than where I'm driving. I almost beat my personal best in qualifying, but I slightly dirtied it a little. I almost had a 2:30, which during practice I was getting 2:35, 2:34.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I found the line. I think I'm used to it. We just got to see how it goes.
Wicked Sen there in the pit lane saying, "Get it, Grim, get it." Any shout-outs to include Wicked?
Wicked, I think my friend... Oh no, I forgot their name. I think I have a few people watching. My dad might still be watching, but he might be in bed right now because he's probably sleeping.
Okay.
Wicked, though. I do appreciate him watching. He's one of my clanmates in my Destiny clan, Echo of Sin.
And so Bathurst, a very challenging track. Is there any particular portion of this circuit that is giving you a hard time? Or do you, I don't know, are you ironing out the kinks? Do you kind of already have this track pretty well versed?
There was a challenge in Forza 6 where I spent a lot of time on this track, so I think most of it's just kind of ironing out the kinks. I was scared of that tire wall, but I think I've got a pretty good run through there, a pretty good idea of what gearing I need to do there.
And that's the tire. That's the tire wall at the end of the downhill section there in Forrest's elbow on the outside. Is that what you're talking about?
Yep, all those blue donuts. They can get everywhere. And if you're not running really tight on a specific line, it can really mess with you.
And stand by. I think we're having a little bit of a hiccup here. And as soon as we recover, yep, just 1 second. I think we've recovered. It looks like I'm back to green. We're talking with Grim here in the driver's spotlight as we get ready to roll out to Bathurst. You're pretty confident. You're feeling good about this one. As we look here toward the end of the season, in season number 32, are you looking forward to the next one? Are you ready to wrap this one up, or are you still in the thick of it here for season 32 and want to see how this one ends, or are you ready to advance to the next?
I'm really excited for Sonoma, honestly. I've been looking forward to it all season. That's just one of my favorite tracks to race in general. I am looking forward to next season. It has been a little disheartening, honestly, just toward the beginning, because I'm still learning how to race in an actual league with people who are real good.
Yeah.
But I think I'm ready for the next season. I think you might see my name.
Okay. Very good. Well, we certainly hope that is the case. And Grim giving a great advocating very well for the Forza Spec Racing Series, saying that, despite the fact that he's racing amongst drivers who he finds to be highly competitive or highly skilled, doesn't bother him, doesn't faze him one bit. Coming out here doing his thing. Graham, thank you so much for joining us there in the driver's spotlight. Going to go ahead and throw him back into the Discord there for the race, and now we'll just wait for the last one, Udakan, to ready up, and there goes Udakan. We did have Chaos Fox there in the driver's spotlight, or at least getting ready to get into the driver's spotlight and then jump back out, as I suspect they're now ready to race, and so maybe we'll chat with Chaos at the end of this one. 13 laps around Mount Panorama. What is that? Mount Panorama, Bathurst. All 23 corners. It starts with Hell Corner, the left-hander, not the right-hander, the left-hander, into the mountain straight, then to P2 or T2. Oh my gosh. Get it sorted, Dustin. Into T2 Quarry before you head up the hill and then come crashing back down. Well, hopefully not crashing, soaring. A more appropriate word. You want to come soaring down the hill, but with 20 drivers out here on the track, we're gonna see how this one goes. As Slow Motion Fire, our organizer, says, this is going to be interesting. And it's LMP Chicago who sits opposite of Cratrim, who's got the pole position. As soon as Cratrim moves, we'll be underway here for race number 8 of season 32. A little false start there on row number 2. Backs it up a little bit. And we're off. Kick the tires and light the fires. Cratrim's going to lead us off into Hell Corner, T number 1. And they're going to go side by side as Chicago and Udakan. Fear the Fun in 4th, Corvin in 5th. Slipstream is 6th. Meza, Audrex, Joe Beardy, and Chaos Fox. All the way back there, 7th through 10th. Down the mountain straight they come, up to T2 with Corey. Cratrim with a pretty good lead there. Chicago and Udakan, the friendly foes here in season 32. Wouldn't you know it, side by side, coming up the hill, and that's going to allow, looks like Fear the Fun is going to go side by side with Udakan there. Udakan, maybe not the best approach there coming out of Quarry, or best line coming out of Quarry, and now he's going to have to hold off Fear the Fun, and that little battle that you're not willingly picking, but that somebody else is establishing for you, that could put you off pace pretty quickly. And as we see now, Chicago has a pretty good 6 to 7 car length lead on Udakan at this point. Let's go back to Fear the Fun in 4th, and let's ride on board as they go through and out of Skyline into the S's. 12, 13, 14, here comes 15, then 16, then it's 17, into the Dipper and Forrest's Elbow. There are those donuts, as Grim called them. They're on the outside as you pass the Falcon signage off to the right, the concrete wall, and out onto Conrad Straight. Fear the Fawn now starting to lose sight of Udakan. And that's going to be Corvid here that we see off to the left behind the map as we ride on board, continue to ride on board with Fear the Fun. And, oh, look at that. Almost a bit of a bench there on Fear the Fun. He's going to go to the outside here through the chase. That's going to allow Corvid to move up to 4th position, at least for now. To the Armor All Bridge they go. Then the left-hander, Murray's Corner, 23. Back toward the start-finish line, beginning of lap number 2. Let's go back up to the front. Let's go to Cratrim, who is now fallen out of the top spot. Chicago moves up to P1. And Udakan closing in. English, Dustin, you can do it. I know. I can. I got this. Well, I got faster every lap, just not confident going over the mountain yet, says Mesosphere. And, of course, Mesosphere will come in like top 10 or top 5 here. Be very humble about it. As they go back up the hill toward the cutting, turn 3 into 4, which is always a very, very tricky section for me. And I always get on the throttle way too aggressively, which then has my car kind of just slithering up the hill into Griffin's Mount, then Reed Park, underneath the Fujitsu air conditioning signage, as they're now getting ready to put the bow on the summer down there in the southern hemisphere. Ready to head into fall, believe it or not, as those of us in the northern hemisphere, prepare for spring. It always just baffles, like it throws me off that we have this whole inverse season thing between the hemispheres. Obviously, as the Earth goes ahead and tilts around the sun and puts the southern hemisphere out of the bulk of daylight, and the northern hemisphere starts to receive the majority of daylight, therefore increasing temperatures and weather patterns. Udakan now coming up to the little kink here, turn 20. Not wanting to lose sight of Chicago. Let's go ahead and drop back to 6th with Audrex. We'll go back there momentarily. Audrex has got Fear the Fun, who we saw lose position there to Corvid last time through. And behind Audrex is Slipstream. And Mesosphere up to 8th. Chaos Fox in 9th. IPR Wolf is up to 10th position. Well done by Wolf right now, who got that controller fixed after having something of an issue. Actually, that was Grim that was telling us that Wolf finished 8th there out at Suzuka. Had a good run back behind Hoot. A pretty consistent stream of cars all the way from Quarry back to Hell's Corner. Everybody running a pretty good clip right now. Not seeing the departure of vehicles that inevitably we will see a little bit later on. We'll start to see folks who are opposite ends of the track from one another. But for right now, everybody on this on the mountain straight side of the start-finish line. Back up to 2nd with Cratrim. And again, my thanks, as always. I know it's very repetitive, but I can't go without saying thank you all for tuning in to Virtual Autosport here live on Twitch TV. Join me on Saturday, March 14th, for the Online Racing Association, or you know them better as TORA, and their 12 Hours of Sebring event, where I'll be providing start-to-finish coverage, all 12 hours of that race. They're on TORA Live here on Twitch, not this Virtual Autosport channel, but the TORA Live channel. Come say hi, hang out with me, maybe pull a Slow Motion Fire. Slow Motion Fire did all 24 hours of the Daytona race with me, albeit Slow Motion Fire was in the pit lane, not on the microphone. However, I would say that's probably more difficult than being on the microphone, because then you have to listen to me for 24 hours. How Slow Motion Fire did it, I have no clue. He probably hit the mute button after, I don't know, hour 3. But here we go, Chicago coming out of the final left-hander for the start-finish line, beginning of lap number 4. Are you all racing in the 12 hours of Sebring, or are you going to watch? Let me know there in the pit lane. Are you going to watch all 12 hours of that event? Are we going to make it a pact right here, right now, that we will push through all 6 stints, all 6 2-hour stints, right here, or not right here, but on the Torah Live channel. LMP Phantom says racing it. There you go, Phantom. Hoping to see you out there. Of course, they'll go through the series of qualifying sessions over the next couple of weeks leading up to the race, and then that'll determine what lobby they are in. The lobby A being the fastest of the qualifying drivers, and that will be the lobby that I'll be covering. There will be other channels that'll bring lobby B and C, and I think even D lobby action, if we do in fact have a D lobby, all throughout the 12 hours of Sebring event. It's going to be a joy. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can seriously say that I'm looking forward to it, because the 24 hours of Daytona was exciting enough for me. I will never do another 24-hour commentary event. That being said, knowing that this is half the length has me that much more excited, geared up, and ready to go. Here, coming out of the Forest Elbow, it's Udakan, who is trying to catch back up here. And it is almost it looks like an equidistant delta here from Chicago to Cratrim, and then Cratrim back to Udakan, although now looking at it, looks like Cratrim has the edge over Udakan. And now into the chase. Dragon King saying the racing is starting to break up, as expected. That's anticipated. It's going to happen, especially in a league like this where you have such an assortment of skill levels out there on the track. I think it makes it that much more exciting. Now, granted, we focus our vantage point here during the broadcast on those drivers up front, but where we have the opportunity to a little bit later on, we will turn our attention toward the rear, or at least the mid-pack section, whenever we can. And actually, let's take the opportunity to do that right now with Fear the Fun running in 6th position, out in front of Slipstream and behind Audrex here for 5th, 6th, and 7th position. Fear the Fun is going to look to what is going to be the outside line here heading into turn 2. And yes, it is a bit of a hump there on the mountain straight. Bit of a goalie there before you start heading up the hill. And Audrex able to keep Fear the Fun in his rearview mirror, at least for now. Into the cutting they go, and Fear the Fun not letting up one bit. That's very, very close, and perhaps that intimidation factor is what got him around Audrex. Well done, Fear the Fun. A couple of exceptional passes here in week number 4, and Fear the Fun actually into the wall now. Oh, after I give him such praise, he bumps into the wall coming up the hill out of turn 7, and now gives up the position there to Audrex and Slipstream. Yikes. That is not one of those areas where... Oh, and there goes Fear the Fun now back into the back bumper of Slipstream. Ooh, it's getting a little bit messy here. 6th and 7th position, and now Mesosphere shows up. You guys like the party? I like the party. And Mesosphere, he's going to go ahead and moonwalk on past Fear the Fun. Well, moonwalk might be a bit of an understatement. It's a little bit more hotly contested than that. Fear the Fun is going to be on the opposite side there of Meza, as Meza is pretty much landlocked or car locked at this point. He's got Slip in front of him. Fear on the inside. And what's going to happen here through the chase? This is going to get interesting. A little bit of sparks there as Meza, I think, capturing the backside of either Fear the Fun or Slipstream. They're going to go 6, 7, and 8 Slipstream. Fear the Fun. Now Meza, and Meza onto the outside, coming into Murray's corner. He's going to take the high line. And can he make the run on Fear down the straightaway? And Nemesis there in the pit lane saying, yes, Meza, get it, dude. And although this pass is irrelevant at this point, or it's moot, let's go back to that one by Fear the Fun. And I don't know if maybe I even captured where he finds himself in the wall. I think I might have clicked the replay buffer a little too soon to see that action here. Did I get it? Did I get it? Let's see. Yep, there goes Fear the Fun up into the wall. And that's what allowed him to get double passed there by Slipstream. And Audrex at the time. Now Audrex has fallen back. Or excuse me. Check that. Scratch all of it. Let's just say that Fear the Fun is riding in 8th right now with Mez's Fear into 7th. There goes Fear the Fun once again into the wall. Trying to clip that apex really, really short. And there's no room. There's no room to try to get 2 wheels off the racing surface in that area. There just isn't. And as a result, Fear the Fun parks it into the concrete once again. Back up to Audrex here in 5th position. And actually, before I run off the view of Fear the Fun, let's see if he's got some damage to that vehicle. And actually, he does not. So, very fortunate there for Fear the Fun. And we'll see if he's going to be able to get back in the mix here through the remainder of this race. Let's go to Udakan. Nemesis says, just done a couple of laps at Bathurst in Slaps Vella's tune for this series. Ended up with a 2:21.644. Maybe I was on pace. I'm sure of it. The SVR team does not disappoint when it comes to being on pace. I love it. I love when even if you're not racing in the league, you go and set up a vehicle, maybe pluck somebody's tune off the storefront and have a go at it yourself just to see where you would be in relation to some of the other drivers out there. That's always fun. As we see Craytrim running up here in 3rd position. And so let's take a run through the field here. We've got Chicago in 1st, Udakan in 2nd. That's good. We've got Craytrim in 3rd, Corvin in 4th, Audrex is 5th, Mesosphere in 6th position, Slipstream is in 7th, Fear the Fun in 8th, Chaos Fox is 9th, Hoot Wheels is trying to go back-to-back with 2 top 10 finishes here in week number 4, currently running in 10th. Sorry, just getting my bearings. SVR Nemesis saying, I'm a newer member of SVR. Well, then all the more reason to suspect that you're on pace. If you're good enough to get picked up by that team, Sam, and the Solar Vision Racing team, and yeah, you're quick. You're quick. Here comes Chicago through Chase, or through the Chase, and he's got Udakan back behind him now. About a 3 or 4 second delta there, about 500 feet between the two, and we've seen this all too many times here in Season 32 where Chicago starts to rack up a lead. Now, Chicago was leading for the majority of the race out there at Suzuka before Udakan was able to make his way up through, and in the last 5 or 6 laps make a pass. And I think that was the result of a Chicago mistake. There are probably many reasons that Udakan was able to make the pass, but Chicago had a mistake coming out onto the straightaway there at Suzuka, which allowed Udakan to get a run on him and then eventually make the pass into turn number 1. Let's see what's cooking here, what's going to be brewing out at Mount Panorama. 13-lap race. That 14th will be a cooldown lap, so we'll be looking to see them come across the line on that 13th lap. Corbin still in 4th, Audrax in 5th, Meza now up to 6th position. Let's go to Meza, who, as you might expect, not breaking news at all, on a tear is Meza. Gonna quickly claim a Hard Charger award in just his 3rd race here in Season 32. Are you enjoying the action? Click that follow button, please. Lets me know as the broadcaster that you are enjoying the content here on Virtual Autosport. And every time we go live, if you have your notifications set up as such, you'll get the notification to let you know that we have gone live. But I'll go ahead and tell you right now, you can expect us, predictably so, on Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Right here with the Forza Spec Racing Series, we have the finale a week from tonight out there at Sonoma. It is just one race there at Sonoma. The points are doubled, so that's always an interesting dynamic. There's a drop week rule in effect. One of your 5 weeks, the lowest of your total points, or the points for any 1 week, will be dropped from your championship point total. And that can be said for all the drivers out there in this season. And so, where you stand after that 9th and final race is had is the name of the game. That's all we're working toward. Season in and season out is where will you be on the leaderboard after 9 races, 5 weeks, one of those being dropped. If you win the championship, you win the bragging rights, and you get to pick the car for the next season. What vehicle will we be running in Season 33 is anybody's guess at this point. Although I can tell you, Chicago, Udakan, maybe even Krejci and McCorvid are starting to set their sights on a vehicle, what they would want to see run in Season 33. Let's go back. Let's go to Mesosphere, who is going to try to make a run at Audrax for 5th position. Dragon King saying, "Come on, Udakan, make it happen." Front Step Studios, Panorama? Yeah, Mount Panorama, here at Bathurst. Don't feel bad. It's all good. Oh, and there goes Mesosphere, perhaps pushing a little too hard off into the gravel. That's going to allow Slipstream to get around him. So Mesosphere dropping back to 7th now as they head through turns 14. Here comes 15, 16, into the Dipper. Back up to Udakan here in 2nd position, getting through the chase on lap number 9, getting ready to go to double digits here. We got Udakan, says Front Step Studios. Yeah, this is the Forza Spec Racing Series is one of the longest, if not the longest running community-based league that you will find here in the Forza Motorsport community. And it brings on all walks of life, from the drivers that you'll find competing in the Forza Racing Championship to those who are just saying, hey, I picked up Forza Motorsport 7. Maybe it's my first Forza title ever, and I want to race with folks who are well-meaning, sportsman-like drivers who are coming out here wanting to have fun, but at the same time racing clean. And so we've got those folks out here as well. An assortment of drivers of all different skill levels. Chicago, our leaderboard driver here in Season 32, currently leading this race. Udakan back behind him in second position. Cratream in third. Corvid is in fourth. Audrex is in fifth. Slipstream and Mesosphere 6 and 7. Then it's Fear the Fun in 8th. Chaos Fox back there in 9th position with Hoot Wheels. Let's go to Hoot Wheels and Chaos Fox as they battle it out, coming out of Hell Corner. And then it's IPR Wolf back there in 11th position, followed by Joe Beardy. Tell Chaos Fox I said hi, by the way. Hi, Chaos Fox, says Front Step Studios. Chaos Fox is very focused right now. Three and a half laps remaining here in this one for the evening. And we'll close it up as far as the racing goes. We'll talk to some of our drivers in the driver spotlight, give a little bit of a teaser into week number 5, the finale. Keep on it, says Solar Gambler. Yeah, I think everybody is. Well, you're probably talking about this battle right here. As I look ahead to our top 3, it's not as close as what we've got here for 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. So wherever there's action, that's where we're going to put our camera. I know some commentators, some broadcasters, they will keep their camera fixated on the top spots. We like to diversify our portfolio where the market allows. That is a weird analogy, but hey, when we can, we'll turn our attention elsewhere. Here comes Hoot Wheels. Going to put 2 wheels off into the runoff section there, entering turn 20, then brings it back in. She's going to look there to the inside of Chaos Fox. Not going to make it happen through 22. Now they're going to go side by side here underneath the Umaraw Bridge into Murray's Corner. What's going to happen? Hoot Wheels to the outside. Chaos Fox down low. Ooh, that was scary. There goes IPR Wolf in the background with Joe Beardy also going side by side. Couple of tandems here on lap number 11. A quick run through the field once again. LMP Chicago, Udakan, Cratrium, Corvid, Audrex, Slipstream, Mesosphere, Fear the Fun, LSCM Chaos Fox. And that's where we're at right here. Here comes Hoot Wheels now. Down the mountain straight. Into Quarry. Look at that switchback, or at least going to attempt it. Some sparks there. Hoot Wheels on the back bumper of Chaos Fox. Now they'll switch positions with Hoot Wheels going to the inside. Through the cutting, turn 3. Now 4 and 5. IPR Wolf and Joe Beardy closing in. We got a 4-way battle for 7th. Check that, 9th. Craptastic Jack. Craptastic Jack, thank you for the follow. Hope you're enjoying your Tuesday evening or an early Wednesday morning as we take you into the midway point of the week. I for one, cannot wait for this week to be over. There goes Hoot Wheels, scooting it around a little bit. They're in 9th position. That sends everybody in kind of a tizzy or flusters them a little bit because they see the car who's leading them down the slalom section here at Mount Panorama Bathurst. And that gets everybody thinking, oh, I better get on my brakes because that car gets sideways. That's going to catch us all. Fortunately, it was not a catch-all. Chaos Fox now dropping back considerably. They're to 12th position. Craptastic Jack. in a chase. Lap number 12. It's currently lap 11. We have our camera fixated. Our lead pack of 8 are now on lap 12. Again, lap 13 is our final lap. That 14th one being a cooldown. So we'll jump back up to the front here as they get ready to come across the line for the white flag. Well, I say that, but we might stay back here. We might just stay back here. Back behind this this pack. I was going to say faction, but that really doesn't make any sense. We don't have a faction of cars out here. There are teams, so to speak. You see some of the drivers with a similar or the same team letters in front of their gamer tag. A couple that come to mind are the AMS folks, although we don't have Storm out here tonight. We do have Udakan, but no Storm. And there goes Joe Beardy. Gonna give Hoot Wheels a little bit of harassment now coming up the hill. Underneath the Fujitsu and underneath, but also in between. All kinds of Fujitsu sponsorship here. And now Hoot Wheels is going to lead them back down the hill once again, but is going to have to do so with IPR Wolf in 10th. Joe Beardy 11th. LSCM Chaos Fox, as I mentioned last time through, has fallen off the pace there in 12th position. Slow Motion Fire catching up in 13th. Boontang in 14th. Hocus in 15th. And there goes Hoot Wheels! My, oh my. More changes in position than I can keep track of. And Hoot Wheels getting a little bit of a tap there by Chaos Fox coming through the Dipper and Force's elbow. We'll go to our virtual Autosport instant replay to see if we can't catch what happened there to Hoot Wheels. I didn't see it as I took my eye off the action momentarily. And let's see, Hoot Wheels to try to get a second top 10 here in week number 4 has got some work cut out as our lead pack of 8 have already crossed the line. Now here comes the back half for the beginning of the final lap. Lap number 13, the white flag flies here at Mount Panorama Bathurst, our last of 2 race event evenings in Season 32. We've got just 1 race there in week number 5 at Sonoma. Chaos Fox now going to go side by side with Hoot Wheels as I keep my eye on what's happening there in the front. Chicago now entering Force's elbow, getting ready to go out on the big straightaway. Looks to be uncontested. Udakan back behind him. Then it's Kratrium in 3rd. Corvin in 4th. Audrex all by himself in 5th. Then Slipstream, Mesosphere, Fear the Fun. And then what we have back here in 9th with IPR Wolf, Joe Beardy, Hoot Wheels. Let's go to Joe Beardy, who's trying to keep pace with Wolf. Not going to happen. And here comes Hoot Wheels closing in. And as we speak, our top 5 are approaching Murray's Corner. Turn 23, the final left-hander. It's going to be LMP Chicago, who ends Udakan's streak. Coming away with the win here in race number 8. Udakan in 2nd. Kratrium, Corvid, Audrex down the downhill section toward the Dipper. Joe Beardy, Hoot Wheels getting close to that Falcon tire wall, able to avoid it. All kinds of scrapes there on Joe Beardy's car. That car has been through a heavyweight battle. Thanks and sorry. Oh no, we've got the black screen. Unfortunately, that's probably somebody getting disconnected here on the last lap. Here comes Joe Beardy closing in. Can Joe make a pass here on the final corner? IPR not necessarily hogging the apex, but having a good enough line. And now Who Wills is going to spin it out coming across the start-finish line. Does Who Wills make it? She does. LSM Chaos Fox back behind in 11th. Slow motion fire. Well, actually, no, Who Wills did fall back. Sorry, Dragon. I'm sorry. I threw that replay on there, and then there we were on that last lap, so I just was like honed in on the gameplay, and before I knew it, I'm like, oh, yep, that thing's still going. LMP Chicago, again, breaking the streak. Both he and Unicon sharing a 3-race win streak here in season number 32. So that's interesting. Again, I don't know that that's ever happened, but fortunately for Chicago, not letting Unicon go back to back to back to back. And what that'll do to the points, we'll have to wait and see. Slow motion fire at the conclusion of all of tonight's racing, and once he's verified everything, then we'll put in the points over there in the reddit.com/r/fm4 subreddit page. And there's the link, compliments of Nightbot. So follow that link, and you'll see here this evening, once those points are put in, where everybody stands. I will try to get those points onto a standings board that I can post over onto Twitter. So make sure you're following me on Twitter at VRTL Autosports. And as a matter of fact, I think I can get Nightbot to help us out on that one. There you go. I'm going to go ahead and take note of where everybody finished. When we get back, we'll go to the driver's spotlight, have a few words with the drivers. We'll tease week number 5, that final race here in season number 32 in an R31. I'm Dustin Moore. You all have been fantastic. Hang out with us. Let's talk to some drivers. Let's say goodbye to everybody. And then if you did not catch tonight's action in its entirety, following this broadcast, we'll have the rerun for you. Or you can watch the on-demand version over at twitch.tv/virtual autosports in the past broadcast section. We'll be right back after these commercial ads. For those of you hanging out here, as some of the viewers are getting some ads, thank you very much for hanging tight. We get ready to talk to some of our drivers in the driver's spotlight following our 13-lap race out at Mount Panorama Bathurst. I see LSM Chaos Fox is in the queue for interview section. We'll see who else jumps in there, get their thoughts, and see how they feel going into the finale, which will be 55 laps out there at the Sonoma Short Track. Quickly running through the list of follows here this evening. Craptastic Jack, Dragon King 18681, Dio or Dio Drake LMP Phantom, Dan Cerberus, Hoot Wheels with the host a little bit earlier on, and then a couple of folks who followed last week, Fadiles, Ronan, Archio72, Bandree, Solar Gambler, Carryout had a resubscribe last week. Appreciate the support. The most that I'm asking for as far as support is if you do enjoy the content, please click that follow button. Everything else is just an added bonus, but the follow at least tells me that something is going right here and that you are enjoying the content. So you know where to find that, and if you have any questions, by all means, throw it into the chat. Be happy to answer. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Virtual Auto Sports. I'm Dustin Moore here live on Twitch TV as we conclude things here in week number 4 of the Forza Spec Racing Series, season number 32 in an R31. It may be only 276 horsepower, but man, this R31 has been one heck of a car to watch. It's allowed for a lot of great racing out there on the track, and of course the driver's skill making that happen out there as well. LSCM Chaos Fox in the driver's spotlight with us here. And, man, you all between, I think, 9th and 12th were just going at it all race there. And then things just kind of fell apart as drivers made a last gasp effort to make some passes. You coming away in 2, 4, 6, 8, what, 10th?
10th.
Top 10.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I was definitely around 9th too, but just there were just a couple turns. I was just saying it with Hoot Wheels. Like every lap, it was just inconsistent. Like I would just be off my mark. Any number one of the turns. Usually the little uphill swoopy sections where I'm trying to be mindful, and someone's right on my back bumper, and right near the end, I bounced off the wall. That's why I really dropped back, and Wolf, Joe, Hoot were all able to get by me. I was able to claw my way back up, but it was not easy. It was not easy. It was a fun but very intense race.
Yeah, not easy in the slightest. And that was going to be my next question. You said that you were working up as far up as 9th position, but then we saw you in the downhill section fall back to 12th position. And so kind of a little bit of back and forth, but mistakes, inconsistencies, not only just with you, but other drivers did allow you to move back up to 10th position. It's kind of exciting when it's like that. I mean, obviously for us as the viewers, but for you as the driver to have that many changes in position, that's got to be a change of pace, especially when we look at the past races here in season 32, where maybe you get in a position and you kind of just sit there for a while.
Yeah, like last race for me, I always refer to it as just no man's land, where there's no one in front of you, no one behind you for like a good 10 seconds or more. But this race was the complete opposite. I was battling back and forth between Wolf and Hoot Wheels, and it's one of those things where it's fun, but your anxiety levels are so high because you don't want to mess up. But it's a fun adrenaline rush. I had a blast, even though with all the mess ups, that was a very good race. That I had a lot of fun.
A very good race had by Chaos Fox, who we're talking with here in the driver's spotlight, but then an assortment of drivers here in the 8th race of season number 32. I don't think anybody's ever dubbed it this before, but going to Sonoma next, I'm going to call it maybe the Mount Panorama of North America. You've got some elevation change. You've got some bits where it's kind of claustrophobic or congested, some squiggly parts, and then some straightaway sections. Do you think your car is set up ready for that one, or do you put a little bit of practice and tuning into that to get ready for that 55 lapper?
I definitely know I got to make a little bit of tweaks to get rid of the understeer moments the car will have, because here at this track, especially over the swoops, the car will kind of just really plow through some of the turns. But I think with some minor adjustments, the car is going to be all right. I like Sonoma. We're doing the short course, which is my favorite version out of them all. But again, just like Panorama, there's so many spots where it's very tight, twisty S sections, and there's going to be no room to pass, and people are going to try to force their way through. It's going to be tough on us, but you, as the viewer, y'all are going to have a great time watching that at our expense.
Yeah, and for anybody who maybe you're losing frames on the broadcast side, my apologies, but Chaos Fox saying it's going to be a great race for the viewer to watch because there will be the intensity, knowing that there are some very key parts of that track out there at Sonoma to pass at, and other parts where you don't even want to fiddle with the idea or even think about trying to make a move, because then it can ruin your race. Man, you're looking pretty good. Granted, I can't, in my mind, take account for everybody's drop weeks here, but you entered week number 4 in the 10th position on the leaderboard. I suspect maybe you'll move up 1 or 2 spots. Born as Ghost, who maybe is going to drop back 1 spot, but are you feeling pretty good with how you're wrapping things up here in season 32?
I definitely am. I feel great. I feel like maybe I could grab 8th again. 2 seasons in a row at 8th. I'm happy with that, considering who's up front.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with myself this season. I had a rough start, but this season, the latter half of the season was a lot better for me. And I like this track coming up. Sonoma is a favorite track of mine, and I think it's going to be a fun finale.
It will indeed. LSCM Chaos Fox, always good chatting with you. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you a week from tonight.
All right, see you then.
All right. Let's go ahead now in the driver spotlight and bring in Hoot Wheels. Hoot Wheels, we saw it there. You got a little squirrely coming out on the straightaway toward the start-finish line, and sure enough, it looks like you may have dropped back to, 13th, 14th position? No, yeah, 13th, I think. What happened there coming out of Murray's Corner?
I've been struggling with that corner as well as turn 1 the entire time. I said it was really good through the mountain because that's like the worst section. Which is funny because they're like the 2 easiest corners, but there's like this little elevation change on the exit of the final turn that seemed to unsettle my car more than it seemed to be unsettling other people's cars, and it just kind of caught me out, and I sim snapped, and that was basically all she wrote.
All she wrote, sending the car into kind of a snaky situation and allowing Slow Motion Fire, Food Tang, and Chaos to get on by. Chaos, who you were no stranger of in that race, you were competing with for quite a bit, a lot of back and forth. So I'm guessing just as exciting as it was for Chaos Fox all throughout that event.
Absolutely. Battling with those guys, like I'm familiar with Chaos Fox. He's a good friend of mine, good driver, very talented. So being in the same league allows me to sort of like measure my skills against somebody else in a competitive environment. I was racing harder. I was racing people harder this time around rather than last time. Last time I just kind of wanted to dial it back a little bit, just kind of get used to the motions, see how people are playing along, and then try and go full tilt. So I hope there's no hard feelings against him. We had a couple moments of contact, but otherwise it was like really good racing, I think, from all of us. So that was entertaining.
Yeah, I certainly hope not. No hard feelings amongst the racers here, and especially in this league where, sure, maybe momentarily in the heat of the moment you feel like you were cheated or something, and then you go back into the lobby and then back into the Discord, and you're like, you know what, it's no big deal. This is a fun league and no reason to start getting animosity against other drivers out here. Talking with Hoot Wheels here in the driver's spotlight before we roll into our finale next week. Do you have to start looking at pit strategy here? Because I think 55 laps around Sonoma, either the tires or the fuel tank will give out, and with that, you got to decide when you're going to go in, and of course, with respect to everybody else out there. So, what are your plans there if you're willing to divulge?
I'm honestly not too sure about Sonoma. I've never done endurance racing nearly that long kind of thing. I've done races where I've had to do mandatory pit stops, but not one where it's mandatory just by nature of the degradation of the tires. So I suppose I'll try and get some advice from other drivers, advice from Chaos Fox or something. But other than that, I'll do what I've been doing this whole time, just kind of like playing it by ear, running off of like intuition and just what I know of the game and what I know of the tracks. and as well as the car. So I guess we'll see what happens at Sonoma.
Are you kind of stoked about that? That the idea of, hey, we're going to see the tire degradation, or maybe it'll not so much be the tires, but just watching that fuel tank trickle down, being that that's, uncharted territory for you. It's kind of a new element of racing here in virtual autos, or not virtual autosport, but Forza Motorsport, which just kind of mixes it up a little bit for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no stranger to tire degradation and fuel use and whatnot because I'm used to sim racing. Like, I play a lot of other video games like this.
Gotcha,
So
gotcha.
it's not necessarily new to me as a concept, but as it's applied in Forza is new to me. So just how fast the tires degrade and how fast the fuel usage is, that's all new to me. So.
Gotcha. Well, Hoot Wheels, great job out there, despite the fact that you were in the hunt for a top 10 finish 2 races in a row here in week number 4. But nonetheless, great racing all throughout the season, and we'll see it culminate here a week from tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much. Also, another shout out to the Fun Poster Parliament as well as Adventure Crew. And everybody who follows me over on twitter.com/Hoot Wheels, thank you all. Appreciate y'all.
There you go. There you go. I have no qualms with people throwing out Twitter handles, your Twitch names, your Twitch channels. If you do some broadcasting while you're racing here, by all means, drop that there in the driver's spotlight as we chat with you here. And it's great. It's awesome. And now let's go to IPR Wolf, who let's see here, Wolf. If I could spot you, you are in the top 10 and coming out of this race. 2, 4, 6, 7th position.
I thought I was 9th, but
Let's
either
see.
way.
I see you running behind Slip in front of Joe Beardy, and perhaps you gained a couple of those positions as a result of some of the fun with Hoot Wheels there. I don't know. We'll have to run that one back, and of course we'll see where Slow Motion Fire places you in terms of points on the official scoreboard. But I mean, still, it seems like a heck of a run for you.
Yeah, I'm really happy with it.
It doesn't seem like there was a lot of jockeying position in your neck of the woods there. Slipstream and Joe Beardy. Joe Beardy actually, I think, part of a larger pack a little bit further behind you. So was it kind of smooth sailing? Were you running solo, or what was it? What was it like for 13 laps around Bathurst?
I was with LCM, Chaos Fox, and Hoot Wheels and Joey.
Okay.
It was chaotic around us, though, because right from the get-go, we were, me and Snowball were battling it out. And then Hoot Wheels started to come in, and of course, he ended up giving Snowball a big push. But since we were all battling, Joey started to catch up to us, and by the end, it was the 4 of us just going at it.
Yeah, it's true. Now that I think back on it, and of course my memory seems to be failing me here, but yeah, you were in the mix with those guys and gals a bit there through large chunk of the race, and then apparently took off at some point to put you where you, or at least where I'm showing you, finishing there in 7th position behind Slip. Now that we look ahead to the finale of the season, any last minute adjustments that you're going to make to this car to maybe eke out another spot or two in the finishing positions out at that race, or are you pretty happy with how the car is set up going into week 5?
Handling wise, I'm really happy with the car, but with the tire wear, I've noticed that throughout the entire season, the fronts have been a lot more susceptible to wear down quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to see if I could try and get that sorted, or at least to the best of my ability, by the last round.
I chatted with Hoot Wheels a little bit about that, not necessarily knowing what that is going to look like in that race, and perhaps we'll get more context from some of our other drivers in preparation ahead of next week, or ahead of the race next week during our pre-race conversations. But how do you Do you actually go through the paces of running an entire race, or in this case, 55 laps out there at the Sonoma circuit, or are you going to maybe run a few, do the math, work out what the strategy is going to look like, and go from there, or are you just going to kind of wing it when it comes to the race and just show up on Tuesday and go for it?
Most of the time, well, it all depends on what my schedule turns out to be, but I usually would try to run the car as far as I can. Usually just set up I say set up. If I'm racing with friends as well, I'll set up a meetup lobby or what have you. If not, then just a free play, and then just run laps until the car pretty well gives out, and then I do the math from there. See if I can at least go halfway, and if so, then I know that I have more leeway as to where my pits are going to be.
Very cool. I love that insight. It's always interesting to see how drivers approach some of these longer races, because some will actually go through the exercise of recreating that race, running the race just to see what that actual degradation is going to look like, and then others just kind of calculate it, or some just show up unknowing and just run the race as is and find out as they move along. So very cool. Thank you for sharing that there, IPR Wolf, and good job here today, and we'll see you in week 5.
Alrighty. Thank you.
All right, now let's go to, and I see LMP Chicago there. We'll talk to LMP Chicago last, but let's go over to DJ Hocus, or DOR Hocus, as we now know him here out on the track. And you finished right there behind Hoot Wheels, who got it turned around on the straightaway. So were you looking at that and saying, hey, I can gain one more spot last second, or were you too far back?
I was a little far back, but I think I would have let him have that one anyway.
Okay. And so all kinds of action happening out in front of you. Were you, I see Trigger, who was running behind you, Born as Ghost was back there. Were you guys pretty close, or were you running your own race out here at Bathurst?
No, I was basically by myself from lap 4 on. I got caught up first lap, got touched in the butt, and went into the wall, and it stopped me dead. So I ended up last.
Yeah.
The first lap.
Well, that's a heck of a recovery. You go from last up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 positions there to come in 14th, I think it is. So that's a pretty good recovery, a solid recovery.
Not too bad. Well, a couple of people went into the pits.
Yeah.
So I passed a couple of people when they went in there, but
was there
was
any damage to your car that you just dealt with for the rest of the race, or was it a clean scrape of the wall?
It was just a clean scrape and a dead stop.
Yeah. Okay. At the time, I suspect maybe you had some traffic behind you. So does the concern at that point being, please don't hit me? I'm going to stay right here until you all pass.
Well, it was like 3 wide, like 4 or 5 deep. It was NASCAR top Daytona stuff going on in the turns there for a little while, and unfortunate things happen. And it was an accident. It wasn't anything.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I still had fun.
Nothing intentional, all accidental. And if you're saying it was 3, 4 deep going into some of these sections, man, wrong track to do that, but all the more fun, I suppose. I was telling one of our other drivers here in the driver spotlight, I'm going to call it the Mount Panorama of North America. We head out to Sonoma next. You got the undulation of the track, and as we've been talking through with Hoot Wheels, and then DJ Hocus, but Wolf. We've got the element of pit strategy now to look at. So how are you approaching this final race?
I'm not sure yet. I'm going to go run about 50, 60 laps on it sometime this week and see how it plans out with tires and gas and about what lap we're going to need.
And there you go. So different approach. Going to run 50, 60 laps to see how things actually happen with that as opposed to maybe just running a few and then doing the math. What do you think? Do you get somebody who will practice with you, or do you do that solo? How do you tackle that?
It doesn't really matter. I can do it solo, or if anybody wants to go out with me, or if I can find somebody to go with, it'll be fun. See if there's any speed difference in drafting, if there's any draft here or anything like that.
Okay. DJ Hocus joining the DOR team, showing up with that gamer tag for the first time here in week number 4 of the Forza Spec Racing Series, and looking to close up this season here. Currently, entering week number 4 in 12th, back behind AMS Storm. He has 97 points. We'll see what happens after all the calculation is done for week number 4. And week number 5, what do you think? Where do you're top 15 right now, or at least entering week 4? Can you make it up top 10?
I'm going back a few spots after this week.
Oh no, come on.
Oh yeah, I'm going back a few spots, quite a few spots probably.
Well, you at least have the advantage of AMS Storm did not run, so you shouldn't lose too many, or at least one that you might have lost you'll gain.
Yeah. I've probably got 10 points first race. Second race probably 13, 14 extra, so 20. I'll say 25 points total to add to that. So I'll probably go back pretty far.
Well, let's see
further than I wanted to be for this weekend, definitely. But
yeah. Well, we'll see where the math gods place you. DJ Hocus, great chatting with you, and we'll see you in week 5.
Thanks, sir.
All right, and now he's been waiting ever so patiently there in the driver's spotlight as we get around to him. Able to end the winning streak there for AMS Udakan, who had 2 last week in week 3, and then the first one out here at Suzuka. And that first one at Suzuka, that was an interesting finish. You fell back behind him, and then when it looked like you might had a chance to make a run on him on the last lap there, you found yourself into the back of some lap traffic. And then perhaps we had Chicago waiting so long that he's not even near the mic anymore. Chicago, can you hear me? Chicago to Tower. Or Tower to Chicago. I don't know, one of the two. All right, we don't have Chicago, so we'll leave it with that. Chicago getting the win out here at Mount Panorama with Udakan behind him in second, Kratrium, Corvid, Audrex, Slip, Wolf. Wolf is completely surprised, doesn't seem to think that he picked up 7th position, but that's at least what I'm showing in the unofficial results. Joe Beardy in 8th, Fear the Fun, Chaos Fox, Soul Motion Fire, Footang, Hoot Wheels, Hocus, Trigger, Born, Modern, Viral, Grim, Meza. You want to hear your name be called? You want to see your car out there on the track during the broadcast? Participate with these folks in the final race of the season number 32 in the R31. Head on over to reddit.com/r/FN4, all the information that you need there. Let's aim for a full grid. Week 5, the 9th and final race of season 32. That would be spectacular. That would be the way to go out as we do 55 laps around Sonoma. Folks, it's been great as it's the second time in a row here, the second week in a row, a little bit of extra time that you're getting out of me. It's been a joy. I see folks still hanging out with us here on the broadcast. It's been a joy bringing this action to you live on the channel, and of course we'll be doing it again a week from tonight with week number 5. But then again, March 14th, that's in about 2.5 weeks, TORA, the Online Racing Association's 12 Hours of Sebring is happening there at 10 a.m. Eastern. And the tricky thing about this is be mindful of the fact that the U.S., or at least the North America region, will be moving our clocks. We'll be advancing our clocks due to daylight savings time. So as we approach that March 14th date, just double check your time with relation to Eastern time. Again, 10 a.m. is the start time for that race officially, and therefore adjust, adapt, overcome accordingly based on wherever you live in the world. And of course, if you are outside of the North American continent here, thank you so much for staying up with us here through the evening and on into your Wednesday morning. Yes, here we go into the halfway, or at least approaching the halfway mark of the week, thankfully, and getting closer and closer to that week. And I know everybody's working for the weekend. I should grab that song for our pre-race countdown, and make sure you join us again for that pre-race countdown, or at least the race next week, 8 p.m. Eastern time. But we'll be on a little bit beforehand to talk to some of our drivers in the driver's spotlight, get their thoughts on the race before we do qualifying at the top of the hour, and then follow that up with the 55 lap event. If you get any racing action in, not only in the world of virtual, or in the world of Forza Motorsport, but also in the real world perhaps, or any other racing title. As always, keep it fun, keep it safe, keep it clean. Make sure you follow me at VRTL Autosports on Twitter for all the latest virtual autosports news. It's been great, folks. You all have a great rest of the day, evening, morning, wherever you are. And we'll see you next time right here on Twitch TV. Peace.